to the Holy Convention of the Culture Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel that Yahweh has enjoined unto us in these latter days. Truly, Yahweh has been merciful to us, and to him belong the power, the glory, the might, and all the majesty, simply because he is the God of all creation, not just the God of Israel. He's the God in Israel, but he's the God of all creation. So, seeing that our life is in his hands, let us always find the time to give him the glory and the honor and the praise that's due to his holy name, because truly our God is consuming fire. But Brother Steve, read the oracles of the church and invite him who stands at the door that he may come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may continue to read out of this great legacy and consider what we read, because our deliverance is nearer than we might want to think.
I'm going to read the oracles of the church beginning at 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent love among yourselves. For love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received a gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua, the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Praise Yah.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for the Mashiach's sake hath forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love as the Mashiach also hath loved us and have given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness nor foolish talking nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
Praise Yah.
Revelation chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me.
Praise Yah.
To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Praise Yah. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church and Holy Convention. I have this class title, Elohim is with Israel. Elohim is with Israel. And I'd like to start our sermon today in the book of Genesis, Genesis chapter 13, in verse 1 through verse 18, my brother. Now, Yahweh had told Abraham to get out of his father's house and come to a land that he was going to show him. And what Abraham did, he left his father's house, but he took his father and his nephew and a whole lot of other folks with it, you see. And we're going to pick this up after they had left, after his father had died in Haran and he had gone on his journey. Let's pick this up then in Genesis chapter 13 and pick that up at verse 1, my brother.
Verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh.
So he was in Israel now, right? At that time it was called the land of Canaan, and before that it was called Palestine. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I pray you, from me. If you will take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
Right, so Lot chose the well-watered plain of what they call Transjordan. And that was the land that Moab and Ammon had settled before the 1300s, when the Arabs came into the Middle East on their jihad. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahweh exceedingly. And Yahweh said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto Yahweh.
Okay, so he went to Mamre, which is in Hebron, and we know that Hebron is in Israel, right? Chapter 15 and verse 1 through verse 21.
After these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Yahweh Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, look now toward heaven, and count the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. And he believed in Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am Yahweh that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Adonai Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
Now, if you do some research on the Amorites, you're going to find out that the Amorites seem to have vanished off the face of the earth. But the Amorites were also called Westerners. Okay, so this is why. So we know that the iniquity that he's talking about has to do with these Gentiles instead of that tribe of people called Amorites. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto your seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites and the Perizzites, Rephaims and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go no further than that. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to go in Ezekiel 5. I want you to read one verse out of there, Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse 5.
Verse 5. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, this is Jerusalem. I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her.
Well, Jerusalem, we know that Israel sat on the trade routes right in the middle of all the sons of Noah. Now, Palestine is Israel, and it covers an area of 10,000 square miles. And it's like I said, it was located in the center of all the sons of Noah. And Abraham bought this land from one of the Hamites, but that land was Hebron. Hebron is an area. It was also a city, but it's also an area. And Hebron, if you look right at it, Jerusalem is a part of Hebron. Now, Abraham bought a cave there to bury Sarah, right? Sarah was buried there. Abraham was buried there. Isaac and Rebekah was buried there. Jacob was buried there. And all of our fathers, the 12 tribes, they was buried in that land. Now, when Joshua went into the land, Joshua killed the king of Jebus, which came to be known as Jerusalem. But it was Caleb of the house of Judah that took that land. And once David was born, we know that David became king, and he ruled in Hebron for 7 years before they sent him to Jerusalem to rule in Jerusalem, right? Well, let's go and pick up some things that Yahweh had to say to Dawid. 2 Samuel 7 and verse 1 through verse 29. Everybody that did any trade back in the days of David and Solomon, everybody that did any trade, they had to pay a tariff for crossing that land. See, and by it being in the midst of all the sons of Noah, we can very well see they had quite a bit of income that came into the king's treasury and to the house of the God of Israel from the other land. Where I told you go, man? 2 Samuel 7? Okay, go ahead and pick that up at verse 1.
And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of Elohim dwells within curtains. Mm-hmm. And Nathan said unto the king, Go do all that is in thine heart, for Yahweh is with thee.
Right. David wanted to centralize things, because all of the holy things, we had the tabernacle and the curtains and all that stuff that our fathers had. Those things was at different people's houses. And David wanted to centralize worship for the children of Israel, so they'd have one place to gather to worship the God of Israel, instead of on all the high places that they had built on different mountains and so forth, which caused some serious problems. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, Thus says Yahweh, Shall thou build me a house for me to dwell in?
You going to build me a house, David? You going to build me a house? I mean, you got your palace and everything going just like you want it. You think enough of me and my people to build me a house? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 6. Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. Mm-hmm. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word within of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build you not me a house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall thou say unto my servant David, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel.
And he took us from the streets, from the hand of Satan, to gather the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 9. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time.
He said, wait a minute now. He said, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, right? And will plant them where they was already in the land. So obviously, he was talking about a different time period. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also Yahweh telleth thee that he will make thee a house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Well, we know it wasn't Solomon, because Solomon's kingdom was not established forever. He didn't say, if he commits sin, if he was an evil man, I'm going to establish the throne of your kingdom forever. He said that he will establish that throne forever. So regardless to what anybody else did, that throne would David's throne would have to be set in the earth forever. Well, who sits on the throne of David now? See, now these Gentiles try to tell me that the Queen of England sits on his throne. But see, what we was told was this: David, you're never like a man to sit on your throne. Okay, and I'm quite sure that that old woman ain't a man. But see, she got that mess from Herbert Armstrong. Okay, let's understand that when at that time he was at the house of Judah, he hadn't came out of the house of David. He hadn't graduated that far yet. But anyways, he told him he was going to build a throne of his kingdom forever. So we know that he was talking about a future time to come. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee.
Well, it was right at the end of Solomon's kingdom. We know what Solomon did when he got old, man. He started building temples and different places for them strange women that he had married from other people. He had started building these things in their land, in the land, so they wouldn't have to go on that 11 days journey or whatever it was to go do their own worship, right? So we know what Yahweh thought about that. This is what cut Solomon off. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 16. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever.
Praise Yah.
According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. Then went King David in and sat before Yahweh, and he said, Who am I, O Adonai Elohim? And what is my house that thou hast brought me hitherto? And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, O Adonai Elohim. But thou hast also spoken of thy servant house for a great while to come. And is this the manner of man, O Adonai Elohim?
Right, so he said a great while, so we know he wasn't talking about Solomon at that time, right? Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 20. And what can David say more unto thee? For thou, Adonai Elohim, knowest thy servant. For thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart, hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant know them. Wherefore thou art great, O Yahweh Elohim, for there is none like thee, neither is there any God beside thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, whom Elohim went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for your land before your people, which you redeemed to you from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. But thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people Israel to be a people unto you forever, and thou, Yahweh, are become their Elohim.
Right, but these Christians, especially the black folks, they quick to tell you, well, God got rid of Israel and chose us Gentiles. Yeah, go on and read, brother.
Verse 25. And now, O Yahweh Elohim, the word that thou hast spoken concerning thy servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as thou hast said. And let thy name be magnified forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts is the Elohim over Israel. And let the house of thy servant David be established before thee. For thou, O Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, have revealed to thy servant, saying, I will build thee a house. Therefore has thy servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto thee. And now, O Adonai Elohim, you are that Elohim, and your words be true, and you have promised this goodness unto thy servant. Therefore now let it please thee to bless the house of thy servant, that it may continue forever before thee. For thou, O Adonai Elohim, have spoken it, and with your blessing let the house of your servant be blessed forever.
Right, and the people, when the Messiah was born, the people truly called him the son of David. He himself said, I'm the root and offspring of David, the bright and morning star. Psalms 132 in verse 1 through verse 18. Psalms 132 in verse 1 through verse 18.
Verse 1. Yahweh, Remember David and all his afflictions, how he sware unto Yahweh and vowed unto the mighty El of Yaakov. Surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, nor go up into my bed. I will not give sleep to mine eyes, or slumber to mine eyelids, until I found out a place for Yahweh, a habitation for the mighty El of Yaakov. Lo, we heard of it at Ephratah, we found it in the fields of the wood. We will go into his tabernacles, we will worship at his footstool.
Praise Yah.
Arise, O Yahweh, into thy rest, thou and the ark of thy strength. Let thy priests be clothed with righteousness, and let thy saints shout for joy. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Yahweh hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of your body will I set upon your throne. If your children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon your throne forevermore.
This is why we were told that our children, we're going to make princes and princesses in the land. We'll go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 13. For Yahweh have chosen Zion, he have desired it for his habitation.
Praise Yah.
This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly bless her provision. I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her saints shall shout aloud for joy. There will I make the horn of David to bud. I have ordained a lamp for mine anointed. His enemies will I clothe with shame, but upon himself shall his crown flourish.
Okay, my brother, we know that David will be the prince in that kingdom. Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 1 through verse 8. Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 1 through verse 8. I'll tell you what you do, my brother. Why don't you pick this up at verse 15, chapter 8 and verse 15.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 15. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. And I will wait upon Yahweh that hide his face from the house of Yaakov, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from Yahweh of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter. Should not a people seek unto their Elohim, for the living to the dead, to the law and to the testimony? If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
So they keep Yahweh's word out of their mouth. You know why? They want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to even think of Yahweh when they get people get off into their dirt. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 21. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God and look upward.
They shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and they're going to look upward. These are people who do not worship and serve the God of Israel in truth and in righteousness. And when the deal go down, the first thing they're going to want to do is fall down on their knees and pray to the God of Israel to save them. You had your chance. You had your chance. You only go around once. You had your chance. And the many atrocities that we commit against the God of Israel, you can put yourself in a position to where you can be in church every day. and he never even recognized you from being in church. Not until you repent fully from your. I don't mean just repent from this. Once you repent fully, then he will. He might accept you. It all depends. It all depends. You have to come to the Creator when He calls you, not when you want to. If you got other things that you need to do, then you need to keep His name out of your mouth. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Verse 22. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness.
And they shall be driven in darkness. The darkness is going to cover the earth, and gross darkness will cover the people. And Yahweh has called you and given you the opportunity, and you keep playing games with Him, this same darkness is going to come upon you. Go back and read what happened to our fathers. Go ahead. You can predict the things that Yahweh is going to do by reading what happened to our fathers. Go ahead and read, brother.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterwards did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. The people that walk in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them have the light shine.
Hasn't it happened to you? That's why you're sitting up in here, because you're in the land, the valley of the shadow of death, and you always call us out of this horrible pit to give us light, so that we can be His servant, so that He can keep His promises that was made to our fathers. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3. Thou hast multiplied the nation and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil.
Right, they rejoice before you when you increase their increase. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
And the bodies that's going to be, the dead bodies, is what's going to be the fuel for the fire. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty El, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
This is why the Messiah said, I and my Father are one. And this is what we have to say, I and my Father are one. If we're supposed to be a kingdom of priests, if we are the children of the living God, understand one thing, that the angels are sons. All of them are priests, right? Well, then we have to do the same thing. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. Upon the throne of thy weed, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice, from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this. The Adonai sent a word into Jacob, and it have lighted upon Israel.
Well, we know that once David built a kingdom and built a temple and so forth, and after David's death, David and Solomon's death, Yahweh under Rehoboam, Yahweh divided the kingdom and put Israel out of the land, but Judea, the people of Judea were still allowed to live in the land. But let's go into Ezekiel chapter 8, and I want you to read Ezekiel 8 and verse 1 through 11 and verse 25. Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 1 through chapter 11 and verse 25.
And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in mine house, and the elders of Yehuda sat before me, that the hand of the Adonai Elohim fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire from the appearance of his loins, even downward fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of mine head, and the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the visions of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. And behold, the glory of the Elohim of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now toward the way of the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entrance. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary. But turn you yet again, and you shall see greater abominations.
Yeah, this ain't nothing. You think you done saw something? Think about what goes on. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in, and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about.
Read, brother.
Verse 11. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of man, have you seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers his imagery, for they say, Yahweh seeth us not, Yahweh hath forsaken the earth. He said also unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abomination. Verse 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of Yahweh's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of Yahweh's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of Yahweh, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east. Then he said unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? Is it a like thing to the house of Yehuda that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them.
Chapter 10 and verse 1, brother.
Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims that appeared over them, as it were, a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherub, and fill thine hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Now the cherubim stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of Yahweh went up from the cherub, and stood over the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of Yahweh's glory. And the sound of the cherubim's wings was heard even to the outer court as the voice of the Almighty Elohim when he speaketh. And it came to pass that when he had commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood beside the wheels. And one cherub stretched forth his hand from between the cherubims unto the fire that was between the cherubims, and took thereof, and put it into the hands of him that was clothed with linen, who took it and went out.
Verse 15.
And the cherubims were lifted up. This is the living creature that I saw by the river of Kibar. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also turned not from beside them.
So he was at the threshold. First, the cherubims moved up, right? Now we know that this was the Ark of the Covenant that we're talking about. We know that the cherubs moved up, came up and went to the threshold of the house, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 17. When they stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up, these lifted up themselves also, for the spirit of the living creature was in them. Then the glory of Yahweh departed from off the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubims. And the cherubims lifted up their wings and mounted up from the earth in my sight. When they went out, the wheels also were beside them, and everyone stood at the door of the east gate of Yahweh's house, and the glory of the Elohim of Israel was over them above. This is the living creature that I saw under the Elohim of Israel by the river of Kibar, and I knew that they were the cherubims. Everyone had 4 faces apiece, and everyone had 4 wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river of Kibar, their appearance and themselves. They went every one straight forward.
So he's leaving the house. The spirit is leaving the house of Israel, right? Go ahead, brother.
Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 1. Moreover, the spirit lifted me up and brought me unto the east gate of Yahweh's house, which looketh eastward. And behold, at the door of the gate, 25 men, among whom I saw Azaniah the son of Asir, and Pelatiah the son of Benaiah, princes of the people. Then said he unto me, Son of man, these are the men that devise mischief and give wicked counsel in this city, which say, it is not near, let us build houses. This city is the cauldron, and we be the flame. Verse 4. Therefore prophesy against them, prophesy, O son of man. And the spirit of Yahweh fell upon me, and said unto me, Speak, thus says Yahweh. Thus have you said, O house of Israel, for I know the things that come into your mind, every one. Verse 6. You have multiplied your slain in this city, and you have filled the streets thereof with the slain. Verse 7. Therefore thus says the Adonai Elohim, your slain whom you have laid in the midst of it, they are the flesh, and this city is the cauldron, but I will bring you forth out of the midst of it. You have feared the sword, and I will bring a sword upon you, says the Adonai Elohim. Verse 9. And I will bring you out of the midst thereof, and deliver you into the hand of strangers, and will execute judgments. You shall fall by the sword. I will judge you in the border of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahweh.
Well, if you're going to fall by the sword, then you're going to die then, right? Die spiritual death. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. This city shall not be your cauldron, neither shall you be the flesh in the midst thereof, but I will judge you in the border of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, For you have not walked in my statutes, neither executed my judgments, but have done after the manners of the heathen that are round about.
Well, what's the sense in walking in the statutes, but you then turn around and don't do the judgments? That don't make sense. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 13. And it came to pass, when I prophesied that Pelatiah the son of Benaiah died, then fell I down upon my face and cried with a loud voice and said, Ah, Adonai Elohim, will you make a full end of the remnant of Israel? Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, thou brethren, even thou brethren, the men of thy kindred, and all the house of Israel holy are they unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get you far from Yahweh. Unto us is this land given in possession. Therefore say, Thus says the Adonai Elohim, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
Verse 22, brother.
Then did the cherubims lift up their wings, and the wheels beside them, and the glory of the Elohim of Israel was over them above. And the glory of Yahweh went up from the midst of the city, and stood upon the mountain, which is on the east side of the city.
Well, the mountain on the east side of the city of Jerusalem is Mount of Olives, right? That's the same place the Messiah ascended from, wasn't it? Ain't this the same place that Jacob's ladder was? Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 24. Afterwards the Spirit took me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Elohim into Chaldea to them of the captivity. So the vision that I had seen went up from me. Then I spake unto them of the captivity all the things that Yahweh had showed.
Okay, my brother, so we see the Spirit left the city, so Israel was left unprotected at this time once the Spirit left out of that temple, right? Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 9 through verse 18. So Yahweh is in the process of taking care of his business from the Garden of Eden. And we come into these things, and we have to see that he's still in charge, regardless to what we do, what we say. We can stand on our head all day long, whatever we want to do. Yahweh Elohim is still in charge. And if you don't serve him in truth and in righteousness, he's going to get rid of us. He's going to get rid of you. You can believe that. Chapter 18, and pick that up at verse 9, my brother.
Yes, sir. When thou art come into the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations.
Don't learn to do after the abomination of those nations, right? Don't we? Huh? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits.
Or consulter with many with evil spirits.
Verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Well, we can cause our children, the Christian church cause their children to pass through the fire when you bring them babies to the church and they christen them babies. What you think that's doing? Huh? That's baptizing that baby. And then when the baby, to the adversary of the devil. And then when they get older, then they go get another baptism. Yeah. Go ahead and read. What's the sense in, what's the difference between that and throwing them out into the fire to a plain God, false God, just to kill them earlier? That's all. Go ahead and read, brother.
And then necromancy is a person who worships the dead.
Of course. Of course. And we don't worship them. We shall go visit them, don't we? Okay.
Talk to them.
Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahweh, And because of these abominations, Yahweh thy Elohim doth drive them out from before you. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahweh thy Elohim. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for you, Yahweh your Elohim have not suffered you so to do. Yahweh thy Elohim will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of Yahweh thy Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from the midst, from among their brethren like unto you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Read the other verse, brother.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
Even though our people, we know that our people worship everything that they could even dream of worshiping, even worship the gods of other nations. But Yahweh is the God of Israel. He's the God of truth, and he had to keep his covenants. And that's why we're sitting here today listening to his word, because he's in the process of keeping his word to our fathers and to us that came under the blood of the Messiah. So he didn't leave us alone. He sent us prophet. Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 1 through verse 50. Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 1 through 54 and verse 17.
Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Yahweh, and afflicted.
Right, because the scripture said he knew what kind of death he had to die, but the scripture said, cursed be the man that hangs on the tree. So the Messiah knew in his life that when he died, he was going to die accursed of the God of Israel. But yet and still, that brother went on and did what he had to do. You know why? Israel had to have salvation. This is why he set us in place to do what we got to do, so that the lost sheep can come to sanctuary and find salvation. But go ahead and read, brother. You ain't gonna find it walking in the streets. You can believe that. Go ahead and read.
Verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed.
Praise Yah.
All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and Yahweh hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Praise Yah.
He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
And we have to be cut off from the land of the living too. Go ahead. Now we have to die to sin. This is why, according to the new covenant, he said, "I'm gonna write my laws in your heart and your mind." See, and I will be to you a God, and you shall be to me a people. Why did he do that? So you can receive salvation, give you this opportunity. And he ain't gonna knock all the time. People say opportunity only knocks once. Yahweh is not opportunity. Okay, and he come to you and try to get you to through his word, try to get you to change from the things that we be off into. See, but the thing of it is this: it be good to us. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 9. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
Praise Yah.
Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand. He shall see of the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Isaiah chapter 54, verse 1. Sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, says Yahweh.
Right, it's going to be much more of us than it was of our fathers that went into the land. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 2. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Euro Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Fear not, for thou shalt not be confounded, neither be thou Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. For thy Maker is thine husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. For Yahweh have called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth when you were refused, says thy Elohim. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, says Yahweh thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I will not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, says Yahweh that have mercy on thee. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires. And I will make thy windows of agates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of thy children.
Praise Yah.
In righteousness shall thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me.
They shall surely gather together, but not by me, right? Go ahead, brother.
Whosoever shall gather together against you shall fall for your sake. Verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that brings forth an instrument for his work.
Right, I created all this thing. See, you didn't want to do what I told you to do, so I gave you up to the imagination of your own wicked heart. Go ahead, brother.
And I have created the waster to destroy. Verse 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, says Yahweh.
Right. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment you shall condemn. Why? Because the Spirit of Yahweh rests on you, and His word is in your heart and in your mind. Luke chapter 1 and verse 26 through verse 35. Let's put the Messiah, get to put the Messiah on the scene. Luke chapter 1 and verse 26 through verse 35.
Is that covenant of peace Yahshua? When he said a covenant of peace shall not be removed. It's done with Yahshua, the Prince Peace of everlasting peace.
Yeah, when he bring that, the new covenant is a covenant of peace. If you read the new covenant, Yahshua would be called the King of Peace, which is King of Salem. Really, people, when you look at the word Jerusalem and look up the root word of it, it means city of peace. But actually speaking of, it was called, Zion was called a city of holiness. Okay. Where I told you to go, man. Luke 1, and pick that up at verse 26.
And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from Elohim unto a city of Galilee, named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And the angel came in unto her and said, Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Adonai is with thee, blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Yah. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yahshua. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest, and the Adonai Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Yaakov forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end.
Verse 32 said, He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Adonai Elohim shall give unto him the throne of who his father David. Although he's going to be called the Son of the Highest, he would be the Son of David. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 34. Then said Mary unto the angel, How shall this be, seeing I know not a man? And the angel answered and said unto her, The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the Highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of Elohim.
Okay, my brother, Matthew 2 in verse 1 through verse 12. Matthew 2 in verse 1 through verse 12.
Verse 1. Now when Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship
Right.
him.
It didn't ask him where was he that was born king of the Christians or the Muslims. It said where is he that is born king of the Jews, not of the Jewish people either. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him.
Right. Them brothers didn't want another king on the scene, brother. You remember when they delivered up the master for death? They said, man, they say, the governor asked him, say, should I kill your king? They said, man, we ain't got no king but Caesar. Right? Who's your king today?
Now they're trying to make Barack Obama their king. I've been listening to the radio shows on this June 6th thing, and we've been covering a whole lot of this stuff where they are so quote unquote religious leaders supposed to be telling them they ain't supposed to be doing all that rioting and going down there messing with them folk and all that stuff. They supposed to, if they want to find peace within the justice system, stay out of the justice system.
Right. Right. That's the best thing to do, brother. Yeah. Bring your own peace about and leave that justice system alone, because once you get off in that justice system, you're going to have some serious problems, brother. You know, that justice system is not set up. You remember, justice is one of their goddesses,
Right.
blind justice. And when you walk in there, brothers, you're completely blind.
Well, Elder, beside
The court system wasn't set up for us. It was set up for the Gentiles, just like the prisons wasn't set up for us. The prisons, they were called penitentiaries. The church was building those things so when those Christians committed serious crime, they could go there and have penance. But we see what happened to that, and we see what's already happening to it, because whether you know it or not, many of the prisons have been privatized already, and the reason why the state took over the prison system in the beginning was because of the abominations and the death and everything that was going on in those camps being privatized. Now they're getting ready to do it back again. You know why? They want to kill off some more of us. Okay, and ain't nobody going to be in there but just us. Yeah. But go ahead and every man got his own choice as far as that's concerned. No, but go ahead and read, brother.
Matthew chapter 2, verse 4. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Mashiach should be born.
Mm-hmm.
And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea. For thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, art not least among the princes of Yehudah. For out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh.
Now, a lot of Muslims are going to go in your book and show right here in verse 11, it says, when they were coming to the house. And they're going to tell you, well, see, the Bible says he was born in a stable. Now, he's in a house. From here, he was born in a house. Man, these people came from the east. Ain't no telling how long it took them to come from the east to Jerusalem, right? So what makes folks think that they were still in that stable at that time?
Yeah, the stable is a house, isn't it?
No, stable.
Well, I'm saying it's a house for animals.
Yeah.
God?
Go and read.
I mean, they, making a big deal about a stable in the house, and Muslim. I'm just making a comment.
Go and read, bro.
Verse 12. And being warned of Yah in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way.
Okay, now, my brother, so let's go into OC 2 and pick that up at verse 14 through chapter 3 and verse 5. So now we see that Yahweh's brought about all his word, even bringing the prophet on the scene, that it was said, whosoever do not hear that prophet, he was going to cut him off from among his people. Let's go into OC chapter 2 and verse 14 through chapter 3 and verse 5.
Yes, sir. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
So we're going to be in the same wilderness, and when you read the story, Joshua took the children of Israel into the land through the valley of Achor, and we're going back into the same valley of Achor. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 16. And it shall be at that day, says Yahweh, that thou shalt call me Ishai, and shalt call me no more Baal.
Right, you're going to call me husband. You ain't going to call me my Lord no more. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 17. For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yes, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercy.
Praise Yah.
I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahweh. I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn and the wine and the oil, and they shall hear Yesreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, you are my people, and they shall say, you are my Elohim.
Praise Yah.
Then said Yahweh unto me, go yet, love a woman, beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of Yahweh toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine.
And this brother didn't want to go marry no adulteress, man. See, he didn't want to go marry a woman that was beloved of all of her friends that was an adulteress, because that was a no-no in the land of Israel. Remember what happened when Judah, the situation with Judah? He is one of the princes, and he was coming back on the journey, and he was supposed to do some things that he hadn't done concerning his sons and that sister Tamar, right? You see what happened? Killed off both of them, and was getting ready to kill Tamar, wasn't he? See? He had messed around, and he went and she had played the harlot on her. She was dressed as a harlot and had a veil over her face so she couldn't see what was going they couldn't nobody see their faces, right? And if you notice, the Muslim women today, you notice they wear them veils, man, over their faces? Whores wore veils. Okay, so she had a veil over her face, and this brother went and he laid with her, and he didn't have nothing to give her but his ornaments. And then he tried to call that sister back and kill her after folks told some man to take him out and turn into a hoe, man. And she brought up there that he's going to burn her with fire. And he asked her, say, who you pregnant for? And she said, the owner of these, my Lord. And the only thing he could say was, she's more righteous than any of us, because he knew that he hadn't done what he was supposed to do. You see, but if you check the story, Tamar wasn't a woman that was that would hang out in the streets. I put it that it was a whore. She was beloved of her friends. You see, but go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 2. So I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver, and for an omer of barley, and a half omer of barley.
Kind of expensive there, boy. Yeah, go ahead and read.
Verse 3. And I said unto her, thou shalt abide for me many days. Thou shalt not play the harlot, and thou shalt not be for another man. So will I also be for thee. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, and shall fear the Adonai and his goodness in the latter days.
In the latter days, not the last days. It said the latter days, right? Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. And this is what we are doing in these days and time. We are seeking Yahweh our Elohim, because we haven't had anything that would, as far as royalty or religion or anything, that would save us until Yahweh called us to the shepherd's tent. Zechariah chapter 10 in verse 1 through verse 12. Zechariah chapter 10 and verse 1 through verse 12.
Verse 1. Ask you of Yahweh rain in the time of latter rain, so Yahweh shall make bright clouds and give them showers of rain to everyone grass in the field. For the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain, therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled, because there was no shepherd. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For Yahweh of hosts have visited his flock, the house of Yehudah, and have made them as his goodly horse in the battle.
Praise Yah.
Out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together.
Right. He said, mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For Yahweh of hosts has visited his flock, the house of Yehudah, and has made them as his goodly horse in the battle. That's what you're being raised up for. You ain't going to have to learn how to fight with no weapons or anything. You got something to fight with. Know what they call it? The Holy Spirit. Let it be your protection. Let it be your comforter. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. And they shall be as mighty men which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight, because Yahweh is with them, and the riders on horses shall be confounded.
Right, what all these niggas doing out here fighting? We thought all these folks was dead. What they doing and where they come from? What they doing out here fighting? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 6. And I will strengthen the house of Yehudah, and I will save the house of Yosef, and I will bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off, for I am Yahweh their Elohim, and will heal them. And they of Ephraim shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yes, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice in Yahweh.
Right, because the children are going to see for the first time that their fathers went to war. Their fathers went to war, man, and took back a city. They're going to rejoice because of that, man. We finally done something that was positive for a change.
Yeah. Besides hanging on the corner being winos.
Right, because our children think we hypocrites.
Yeah, I know.
See? Because they hear one thing in here, then they get out there and get in the houses and so forth and so on, and they hear another thing altogether. So what happens is our children don't want to be involved because they think we hypocrites. We sending two different messages. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, and they shall live with their children and turn again.
Praise God.
I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them.
Right, understand, Lebanon belongs to Israel now. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. And he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river shall dry up, and the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in Yahweh, and they shall walk up and down in his name, says Yahweh.
Okay, my brother, let's go and deal with the regathering. Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 1 through chapter 34 and verse 8. That's what I like about my Creator. He tell you things are going to happen before they come to pass. If you walk holy, he tell you what's going to happen to those that's going to be holy. And if you walk and you're not holy, he's going to show you what's going to happen to those that's not holy.
And you know that these history channels, they be saying the children of Israel went down to Syria, right? Then they said it disappear out of history. And when we read the scriptures, we see that Yahweh said he gathered them from the sea.
Right. Right.
They don't understand we are hiding out instead they consult against my hidden ones. So
Right.
we actually hiding them out there that they can't, they don't believe who we are.
Right. They claim that we got 10 tribes that's missing on the earth. We're not missing. We just been misidentified. That's all it is. Those tribes were scattered all over Europe and Asia in 721 BCE. Now we got brothers walking around here talking about the Puerto Ricans is this tribe, and the Mexicans is that tribe, and the Asians is this tribe, and the white folks is that tribe over there. All the tribes, the 12 tribes of Jacob, has spread it out to all the nation. We got brothers just teaching that garbage.
Yeah, in fact, Elder, my sister being associated with Huline Mitchell, she said that the Hamites are our cousins. They got a whole lot of stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
And the Mexicans are part of the 12 tribes of Israel, like you said.
Yeah, well, brother, that's what happens when you get caught up into knowledge and understanding without the Spirit. Yeah, but go ahead and read.
Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1. Woe to thee that spoileth, and thou was not spoiled, and dealeth treacherously, and they deal not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to dealing treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee.
When you cease to spoil, you're going to be spoiled. See? And then when you try to cease from dealing treacherously against the God of Israel, then everybody's going to deal treacherously with you. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother. That's fact. See, we don't have to surmise about this. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, then I'm going to turn to the Lord God at the last minute. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Go ahead and read, brother.
That's that law, what goes around, come around.
Yeah. Of course, brother. You read what you sow. Okay, go.
Goes to also all the nations this country took from robbing. Then there's people peace now. That they cease from spoiling now. Peace, sudden destruction.
Right, she's spoiling everybody now with these high prices, man. They gleaning the vineyard, right? Well, then when a store, who you think gonna open a storehouses and rob her? The same ones that they brought over here and robbed from their heritage and everything else, right? This is why the scripture said the children of Israel and the children of Judah is gonna come bringing their gold and their silver with them. All of us together ain't got enough gold to buy a tire for a car. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 2. O Yahweh, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble. At the noise of the tumult, the people fled. At the lifting up of yourself, the nations were scattered. And your spoil shall be gathered like the gathering of the caterpillar. As the running to and fro of locusts shall he run upon them. Yahweh is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Yehudah with judgment and righteousness. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure.
The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. How many of you fear Yahweh? I know why we don't fear him. Because you don't see him.
Right.
See? You figure he far off, Like them Christians. I seen a billboard one time on the Express that say God is dead. And that's the way we feel when we get off in our atrocity. We don't give a damn what he do to us as long as we do what we want to do. Okay. Let the hair go with the tide. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. Behold, their valiant ones shall cry without, the ambassadors of peace shall weep bitterly. The highways lie waste, the wayfaring man ceases. He hath broken the covenant, he has despised the cities, he regards no man.
Right, do what he want to do. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9. The earth mourneth and languisheth. Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits. Now will I rise, says Yahweh. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself. You shall conceive chaff You shall bring forth stubble, your breath as fire shall devour you.
Brother told me when that war was going on up in Lebanon not too long ago. Brother told me, said, man, you see, Lebanon is being attacked. It's almost time. I said, brother, a whole lot of things ain't happened yet. That's just something that's going on now. You wait till it happens once all this pressure gets come upon our people. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12, I'm sorry. And the people shall be as the burnings of lime. As thorns cut up shall they be burned in the fire. Hear, you that are far off, what I have done, and you that are near, acknowledge my might. The sinners in Yehuda are afraid. Fearfulness have surprised the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burning?
Only those that's going to have on that whole armor. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 15. He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despises the gain of oppressions, that shaketh his hands from holding of bribes, that stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil, he shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His waters shall be sure.
Praise Yah.
Thine eyes shall see the king in his beauty. They shall behold the land that is very far off. Thine heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is he that counted the towers? Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of a deeper speech than thou canst perceive, of a stammering tongue that thou canst not understand. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Yahweh will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall go no galleys with oars, neither shall gallant ships pass thereby.
Get in Ezekiel and read about the river that's going to be created from the water that comes up on the right side of the temple. And you'll find that Ezekiel say he went out into the water and it came up to his ankles. And went out further, came up to his knees. Then it got to be waters to swim in. He couldn't walk in it no more. And there's going to be no ships in that water. It's only trees on both sides of it that yield their fruit in their season. I think it's on a monthly basis, if I'm not mistaken. And if you look it up and you find I am mistaken on that, it ain't got nothing to do with your salvation. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 22. For Yahweh is our judge, Yahweh is our lawgiver, Yahweh is our king, he will save us. Thou tacklings are loose, they could not well strengthen their man, they could not spread the sail. Then is the prey of a great spoil divided, the lame take the prey. And the inhabitant shall not say, I am sick. The people that dwell therein shall be forgiven their iniquity.
Praise Yah.
Come near, you nations, to hear, and hearken, you people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he has delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their leaves shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fallen fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Edomia and upon the people of my curse to judgment.
It's going to come down on who? Edomia and the people of his curse, right?
Twin
That
boys.
curse come on Israel then, right? Okay, remember he told us now only a third of us is going to be saved out of this thing. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 6. The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Edomia. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion.
Right, he gonna settle it. He gonna settle that, right? Settle that whole controversy about who owns Jerusalem and what Jerusalem is supposed to be set up for. Psalms chapter 49 and verse 1 through verse 9.
Yeah, isn't Bosra Greek cities?
Basra, that was down Esau's land. Basra is it was their capital city at one time. And see, Esau is not going to need any land. That's where the lake of fire is going to be created, because his whole seed is going to be destroyed. So he's not going to need any land. That's where you'll be able to go forth and look upon the carcasses of the people that transgressed against Yahweh, and people are going to know what their atrocities were, and people still going to commit sin. Yeah, show favor to the wicked. They'll not learn righteousness until our change come. And if we don't do what we're supposed to do, ain't gonna be no change. Psalm chapter 49, and pick that up, my brother, at verse 1.
Hear this, all you people. Give ear, all you inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor, together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline mine ear to a parable. I will open my dark saying upon the heart. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to Yahweh a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceases forever, that he should still live forever and not see corruption.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go no further than that. So we know that he's talking about once we get back, once the Mashiach returns, those people that are going to inherit eternal life will inherit eternal life. And if you satisfied with getting in the kingdom and living as you are, a natural person, then you might need to want to go home. Because if you shoot that low, you may miss that. Okay. Psalms 102 and verse 13 through verse 28. Psalms 102 and verse 13 through verse 28.
Verse 13. Thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion, for the time to favor her, yea, the set time is come. For thy servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof.
What do you know about Zion? What do you know about it? Have you did any work up on the city and see how things are set out in the land and so forth and so on? If not, then maybe you don't take pleasure in it. Maybe you just want to get there. Right. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 15. So the heathen shall fear the name of Yahweh, and all the kings of the earth your glory. When Yahweh shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. He will regard the prayer of the destitute, and not despise their prayer. This shall be written for the generation to come, and the people which shall be created shall praise Yahweh.
Praise Yah.
For he has looked down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did Yahweh behold the earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner, to loose those that are appointed to death, to declare the name of Yahweh in Yehuda, and his praise in Jerusalem, when the people gather together, and the kingdoms, to serve Yahweh. He weakened my strength in the way. He shortened my days. I said, "Oh, my Adonai, take me not away in the midst of my days. Thy years are throughout all generations. Of old have you laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They shall perish, but thou shalt endure. Yea, all of them shall wax old like a garment. As a vesture shalt thou change them, and they shall be changed. But you are the same, and thy years shall have no end. The children of your servants shall continue, and their seed shall be established before you."
Weren't you supposed to go up to, no, you weren't, brother.
13.
That's right. Yeah, chapter 96 and verse 1 through chapter 98 and verse 9. Chapter 96 and verse 1 through chapter 98 and verse 9. David said, "He weakeneth my strength. In the way he shortened my days, because he's weakened my strength. I said, O my Adonai, take me not away in the midst of my days." Sometime Yahweh take the righteous away from the thing that's going to come up on the earth. See, so that things like that, we're supposed to rejoice, because we know that they won't have to face the thing that the living will have to face. Because many people, you see what people do now, what you think going to happen once this pressure come down on us. We begin being one of all things. We're going to curse our God and our King and look upward. It's chapter 96 and verse 1 through chapter 98 and verse 9, my brother.
"Oh, sing unto Yahweh a new song. Sing unto Yahweh all the earth. Sing unto Yahweh, bless his name, show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people. For Yahweh is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heaven. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto Yahweh, O you kindreds of the people. Give unto Yahweh glory and strength. Give unto Yahweh the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come into his court.
Verse 7 says, "Give unto Yahweh, O you kindreds of the people. Give unto Yahweh glory and strength." Right? Well, how do we do that? Through his service that we do to him. That's where he get his glory and his strength from the service that we do. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 9.
Oh, yeah, I got one. Okay, brother.
Verse 9. "All worship Yahweh in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. Say among the heathen that Yahweh reigns. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice before Yahweh. For he comes to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth.
Praise Yah.
Yahweh reigneth. Let the earth rejoice. Let the multitude of isles be glad thereof. Clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne.
Praise Yah.
A fire goes before him and burns up his enemies round about. His lightnings enlighten the world. The earth saw and trembled. The hills melted like wax at the presence of Yahweh, at the presence of Yahweh, at the presence of the Adonai of the whole earth. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all people see his glory. Confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all you gods. Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Yehudah rejoiced because of your judgments, O Yahweh. For thou, Yahweh, art high above all the earth. Thou art exalted far above all gods. You that love Yahweh hate evil. He preserves the souls of his saints. He delivers them out of the hand of the wicked.
Good references on that is 1 Corinthians 15. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in Yahweh, you righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Oh, sing unto Yahweh a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have gotten him the victory.
Right, so stop singing that song you sang yesterday and sing a new song. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. Yahweh hath made known his salvation. His righteousness has he openly showed in the sight of the heathen.
By watching you. That's how his righteousness is shown in the sight of the heathen. By the way you are. By the things that come out of your mouth. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3. He has remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our Elohim.
One of the brothers in here, I think it was Johanna, and he said one day he was somewhere and somebody came up and told him, said, man, we waiting for y'all. See, everybody know but us. Everybody's eyes is on us. And know what we trying to do? We trying to be like Mike. White folks don't want us to be like them. They know how they are. They want us to be like we are supposed to be. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. Make a joyful noise unto Yahweh, all the earth. Make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. Sing unto Yahweh with the harp and the voice of a psalm. With the trumpets and sound of cornets, make a joyful noise before Yahweh, the King. Let the sea roar and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Let the floods clap their hands, that the hills be joyful together before Yahweh. For he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world and the people with equity.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go no further than that. Yirmiyahu chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 33 and verse 26. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 33 and verse 26.
No wonder why he said the whole creation groaneth, because these laws also, on the land, the land west and stuff.
Waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God, right? Well, the people are going to see that we are the sons of God long before the sons and daughters of the living God long before the Mashiach come, because of the way that we do things, brother. This is why he always kept us separated from other nations, man. And the nations even tried to keep us separated. But see, no, we want to come over there and be like you. Now we just like them. Exactly like them. Yirmiyahu chapter, we don't care nothing about nothing but what we want to do. Yeah. Yirmiyahu chapter 30, and pick that up at verse 1.
The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh, saying, Thus speaketh Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Yehudah, says Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
For lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Yehudah, right? Bring you from what? From your captivity to sin. Mm-hmm. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave unto their fathers, and they shall possess it. You ain't going to get in that land if you don't have Yahweh's spirit. Ain't no doubt about it. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Yehudah. For thus says Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Mm-hmm. Ask you now, and see whether man doth prevail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into
Right,
panic.
that's coming down on our brothers, and y'all know it. See? That's coming down on our brothers. Y'all gonna have some very, very serious problems. We're gonna be saying, man, would God it was morning. Would to God it was evening. Because of the fear and the things that's going to come up on us, because that's the only way Yahweh going to get us to turn to us, man, is to put us in a position to where we'll be not in want of all things, but in need of the thing, just things we need to survive. It's coming, it's on the way, so you might as well get prepared for it. Yahweh going to either make you or break you. Ain't no doubt about it. Go ahead and read, brother. We walk around talking about that holy, 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 and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Wait till the time comes, and Yahweh going to separate the sheep from the goats. Yeah. Go ahead. Anybody can call on the name of Yahweh. That don't mean that they doing jack. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, says Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid.
That'd be a deal for Jacob to be quiet. That'd be a deal there. Yeah. Go on and read, brother.
Verse 11. For I am with thee, says Yahweh, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether.
But I will correct you in measure, and will not leave you altogether unpunished. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 12. For thus says Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous.
Right, you took my son and cast him under your foot. Right, go ahead and tread on holy blood. Check that out. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Verse 13. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicine. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not.
Right, we seek them. Go ahead, brother.
For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased.
Right, we came in, we got cleaned up. Now, what's in your closet? Go on to read, brother.
Verse 15. Why criest thou for thine affliction?
Why are you crying? Because I'm going to visit my iniquity upon you. Your bruise is incurable. Go ahead, brother.
Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity. Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee.
Right, we found no place for repentance. So our sins kept getting worse and worse and worse. And guess what? Everybody see it but you. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
Right, in other words, we are the ones by committing atrocities with these people, we are the ones that causing that stuff to fall upon them, right? Right? Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 17. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, says Yahweh, because they called you an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after.
Right, a lawless, self-willed people that want to be like white folks. They want to be Africans. They want to be Arabs. They want to be everything except what I set them in earth to be, and that is my representative, my sons and daughters that's placed alone in the earth. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 18. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them.
Praise Yah.
And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engage his heart to approach unto me? Says Yahweh.
Right, seek him and you'll find him. Who is this that engages hard to approach unto me? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 22. And you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goes forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it. At the same time, says Yahweh, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh have appeared of old unto me, saying, yes, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O virgin of Israel. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shalt go forth in the dances of them that make merry. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant, and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchman upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our Elohim.
Praise Yah.
For thus says Yahweh, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations, publish you, praise you, and say, O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahweh hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh, for wheat, and for wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock, and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both the young men and the old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and I will comfort them, and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I will saturate the soul of the priests with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not. Thus says Yahweh, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded, says Yahweh, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. And there is hope in thine end, says Yahweh. that thy children shall come again to their own border. I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus, thou hast chastised me, and I was chastised as a bullock unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned, for you are Yahweh, my Elohim.
Well, suppose he don't turn you. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 19. Surely after that I was turned, I repented, and after that I was instructed, I smote upon my thigh. I was ashamed, yes, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, says Yahweh. Set thee up waymarks, make thee high heaps. Set thine heart toward the highway, even the way which thou wentest. Turn again, O virgin of Israel, turn again to these thou cities. How long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man.
Ain't it happening? Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 23. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel. As yet they shall use this speech in the land of Yehuda and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. Yahweh bless thee, O habitation of justice and mountain of holiness. And there shall dwell in Yehuda itself, and in all the cities thereof together, farmers and they that go forth with flocks. For I have saturated the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this I awake and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda with the seed of man and with the seed of beasts. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
Now that's after we get back into the land and the new covenant is set in place. Right now, we're on trial. Okay, we under the blood of the Messiah. Right now, we are on trial, and guess what? We're going to stand before the judgments for everything, every thought, every deed that we do, every word that come out of our mouth. We're gonna give account for it one day, sooner or later.
You know, when you just read that it said that shall no man shall say, no brother shall say with no Yahweh. So we see that it's still you have to hear the words from the man.
Of course.
Until that day come, then be nation of priests.
Of course. That's why he sent servants out into the world, brother, to pass his word on. That's why Christ told us that you're the lights of the world. A city to sit on the hill can't be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a lampstand, that it gives light to all that comes into the house.
Even the salt of the earth, Israel is the salt. I mean, the salt is sealed in.
Right. Right. That's all we needed was salt. Folks want to come around and put pepper and onions and garlic and all that other junk in there. That ain't what you're trying to cook. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yirmiyahu chapter 31, verse 35. Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divide the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh from the tower of Hananiel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill Gareb, and shall compass about to Goad. And the whole valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes and all the fields unto the brook of Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yahweh. It shall not be plucked up nor thrown down any more forever.
Okay, my brother, and you have to understand how the city of Zion was set up. There's only one way because of the valley of Hinnom and the Kidron River and so forth. There's only one way that you can get into Jerusalem. You had to come in from the north. All the nations are going to come in from the north to bring their treasure up to the city. And that's going to be the problem with the armies that come into Jerusalem. Ain't but one way they can come into town. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir.
And you saw what happened. Did any of y'all see that movie, The 300? The Spartans? Now, them 300 men picked just the right place so they couldn't be surrounded by a whole lot of people and kill off just about everybody, didn't they? 300 men, right? Same thing with Zion. Once nations start to come into the city, that's the only way they can get in. That's where they're going to meet the worst resistance they've ever faced in their life from a people that ain't got nothing. Yeah. Go ahead and read. But y'all saw what happened during the war when Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, didn't you? Huh? They sent out all them little kids, man, hundreds of thousands of kids, man. Kids were stepping on all those mines and everything. Saddam just got confounded with all that going on. Killed off millions of kids, man. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yirmiyahu, chapter 32, verse 1. The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh in the 10th year of Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar. For then the king of Iraq's army besieged Jerusalem, and Yirmiyahu the prophet was shut up in the court of the prison, which was in the king of Yehudah's house. For Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, had shut him up, saying, Wherefore do you prophesy and say, Thus says Yahweh, Behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Iraq, and he shall take it.
Right. Yahweh, Jeremiah told him, said, look, you go out there to the Babylonians, and they want to destroy the city, and they'll let y'all live in the land and everything. But now this king here, he puts Jeremiah in prison. Say, man, you done fell away, now you signed with them, huh? See, wouldn't listen to the word of Yahweh, and Yahweh told him, said, look, you going to Babylon, Zedekiah, but you ain't going to see it. And what happened? The last thing he saw was the king of Iraq cutting off his sons right before his eyes. Then they put his eyes out and took him to Babylon and made him walk. They drug him through thorns, all kind of stuff. When he got to Iraq, brother, he was glad to get there. And then they put him in prison and kept him in there for 20 years. And then the king brought him out and gave him some of his old robes he used to wear and let him sit at his table and in his court so the other folks can pick at him. Yeah. Has been king, yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Yirmiyahu, chapter 32, verse 4. And Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, shall not escape out of the hand of the Chaldeans, but shall surely be delivered into the hand of the king of Iraq, and shall speak with him mouth to mouth, and his eyes shall behold his eyes. Mm-hmm. And he shall lead Zedekiah to Iraq, and there shall he be until I visit him, says Yahweh. though you fight with the Chaldeans, you shall not prosper. And Yirmiyahu said, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, behold, Hanamiel, the son of Shallum, your uncle, shall come unto you, saying, buy you my field that is in Anathoth, for the right of redemption is yours to buy it. So Hanamiel, mine uncle's son, came to me in the court of the prison, according to the word of Yahweh, and said unto me, buy my field, I pray thee, that is in Anathoth, which is in the country of Benjamin, for the right of inheritance is thine, and the redemption is thine. Buy it for yourself. Then I knew that this was the word of Yahweh.
It's Anathoth. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I pronounce it. I just kind of, I pronounce it another way. Anathoth, we'll go with that.
Yeah, okay. That's the way we got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Folks pronouncing them words and everything another way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 9. And I bought the field of Hanamiel, mine uncle's son, that was in Anathoth, and weighed him the money, even 17 shekels of silver. Of silver. And I subscribed the evidence and sealed it and took witnesses and weighed him the money in the balances. So I took the evidence of the purchase, both that which was sealed according to the law and custom, and that which was open, and I gave the evidence of the purchase unto Baruch, the son of Neriah, the son of Melchiah, in the sight of Hanamiel's, mine uncle's son, and in the presence of the witnesses that subscribed the book of the purchase, before all the Jews that sat in the court of the prison.
Baruch was Jeremiah's scribe. They got out a book called Baruch, but when you read it, it didn't say nothing Jeremiah didn't say. That's why the book was excluded. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 13. And I charged Baruch before them, saying, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, take these evidences, this evidence of the purchase, both which is sealed and this evidence which is open, and put them in an earthen vessel, that they may continue many days. But thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, houses and fields and vineyards shall be possessed again in this land. Now when I had delivered the evidence of the purchase unto Baruch, the son of Neriah, I prayed unto Yahweh, saying, Adonai Elohim, behold, you have made the heaven and the earth by your great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for you. Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompenses the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty Elohim, Yahweh of hosts, is his name, great in counsel and mighty in works, for thine eyes are open upon all the ways of the sons of men, to give every one according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings, which have set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, even unto this day, and in Israel and among other men, and has made thee a name as at this day, and has brought forth thy people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and with wonders, and with a strong hand, and with stretched out arm, and with great terror, and has given them this land, which thou didst swear to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. And they came in and possessed it, but they obeyed not thy voice, neither walk in thy law. They have done nothing of all that you commanded them to do.
Verse 36.
And now, therefore, thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, concerning this city, whereof you say, it shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Iraq by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I have driven them in mine anger, and in my fury, and in great wrath. And I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. And they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them, and of their children after them.
Praise Yah.
And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good. But I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. Yes, I will rejoice over them to do them good, and I will plant them in this land assuredly with my whole heart and with my whole soul.
Now, it says in verse 40, it says, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. Don't think he's going to wiggle his nose and you're going to fear him. You're going to learn to fear him from the experiences that's going to come upon you, because you're going to have to depend on him for survival. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 42. But thus says Yahweh, like as I have brought all this great evil upon this people, so will I bring upon them all the good that I have promised them. And fields shall be bought in this land, whereof you say, it is desolate without man or beast, it is given into the hand of the Chaldeans. Men shall buy fields for money, and subscribe evidences and seal them, and take witnesses in the land of Benjamin, and in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehuda, and in the cities of the mountains, and in the cities of the valley, and in the cities of the south, for I will cause their captivity to return.
Verse 6.
Says Yahweh. Behold, I will bring it health and cure, and I will cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. And I will cause the captivity of Yehuda and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquity, whereby they have sinned against me, and I will pardon all their iniquities, whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. And it shall be to me a name of joy, a praise, and an honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them, and they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I procure unto it. Thus says Yahweh, again that shall be heard in this place, which you say shall be desolate without man and without beast, even in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem that are desolate without man and without inhabitant and without beast, the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of them that say praise Yahweh of hosts. For Yahweh is good, for his mercy endures forever. And of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of Yahweh, for I will cause to return the captivity of the land as at the first, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, again in this place, which is desolate without man and without beast, and in all the cities thereof, shall be a habitation of shepherds causing their flocks to lie down. In the cities of the mountains, in the cities of the vale, and in the cities of the south, and in the land of Benjamin, and in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehuda, shall the flocks pass again under the hands of him that counts them, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will perform that good thing that I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Yehuda. In those days and at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. In those days shall Yehuda be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely, and this is the name wherewith she shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. But thus says Yahweh, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. Neither shall the priests, the Levites, want a man before me to offer burnt offerings, and to kindle meat offerings, and to do sacrifice continually. And the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day, and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David, my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Considerest thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yahweh have chosen, he have even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Thus says Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go any further. That is, as we see, brothers and sisters, Yahweh has called us because he has some very great things planned for us as we are set up to rule this earth. So let us consider these things and understand, do we want to be servants in this country unto death, or do we want to be servants unto the God of Israel in righteousness? Either way, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says and hold a conviction. That's about all I'm going to do today. May Yahweh have mercy upon us.
Hallelujah.